Welcome to Democracy-ish. I'm Danielle Moody.
And I'm Wajahat Ali, and I look the way you feel, and Daniel looks the way you want to feel. This is the yin and the yang. I looked at Danielle today. I'm like, Danielle, she always looks nice. I'm like, Danielle, you look so nice. Why? And she's like, I was just on TV. And then I just finished telling her that people on my YouTube channel are like, Waj, you look bad, man. You look broken. So I feel like this is the true representation of America, the good and the bad. I think we deserve this. We need this blunt truth and this blunt reality staring us in the face, Danielle.
Amazing. Well, here's the thing. I tell Waj all the time, take a break. I don't know, use your weekends to sleep and like play with your kids and go to the gym, but he refuses. He was in 17 locations over the weekend and then shows up on a Monday and he's just like, hey, just hanging in there, just holding on for dear life.
Let's
Me
do
and my
it.
chai.
Let's do it.
Let's
Daniel's like,
just
you
do
sure? He
it.
goes, I can hack it. I can hack it.
Like, why is spirit inside of your body like this? This is your spirit inside. Just
I
hang
feel like
on.
I'm American democracy on the ropes, but still alive.
Still alive. Still alive. So Wash and I last night, I will tell you this, folks. Sometimes I wish that we could just put out the things that we send to each other like in the middle of the night. Usually I am not on social. I'm like on Sunday, I am not on social media like post 8 p.m. Last
Danielle's very
night,
good. She rests. She's very good.
I rest. Last night, for whatever reason, I was still up. I'm still working on things. And then I'm like, let me just see what's like happening on Threads. Breaking news. Donald Trump's massive reversal on the Epstein files. I'm going to put it up because thank God for another man that never sleeps, who is Aaron Parnes. I don't know when he sleeps. But he, along with every single outlet, Donald Trump posts on Truth Social, goes on. I mean, this entire thing is just filled with bullshit.
Yeah.
But the most important grain that you can pull out of it is the fact that he says that Republicans, the Republican Party, should just vote to make the Epstein files public. And this is coming on the heels, in my humble opinion, all of the news that's been happening since last week, Waj, which said that 50 Republicans were going to turn, 100 Republicans were going to turn. There's more to read into this than what I think mainstream corporate media is reading into it, but I wanted to get your initial reaction to this Truth Social post and then mainstream media, posting all of the things.
I think we're witnessing the biggest political cover-up in modern history. Trump is behaving like a criminal. He's doing everything an innocent man wouldn't do. And him now, all of a sudden, asking him to release the files that he said were a hoax. I like to keep the receipts. And then the fact that Republicans have done everything except release the files, the DOJ can release the files. Trump can order the DOJ to release the files right now. Just yesterday, right as he posted this. He doesn't need the vote. He could tell Pam Bondi, and we know Pam Bondi is his personal assistant, his reek. She is his attorney general, as we know, because last week he said, I want people to be investigated, and only people he wants investigated are the Democrats. And she immediately, an hour later, said, okay, we're going to invest the Democrats. And then just some breaking news, as of, if I may, as of 5 minutes ago, the Trump prosecutor probing former top Obama administration officials. Jason Redding Quinones, a U.S. attorney in Miami and a favorite prosecutor for the Trump administration, is now pursuing a broader investigation into Obama officials. So they're investigating anyone and everyone except, Republicans and Donald Trump. And I also want to remind people, Ghislaine Maxwell, nobody has explained why this woman who is serving a 20-year sentence got moved to a minimum security camp where she's being pampered. No one had explained that, right? So you take all this into account, and then you say, well, why now is he all of a sudden saying release the Epstein files? I believe it's because they ain't going to release the Epstein files. What's going to happen is he's going to say, I told them to release the files, And Pam Bondi says there's an active ongoing investigation, and we can't release the files during an active ongoing investigation. Donald Trump said he wants it released, and I appreciate it because he's completely innocent. And we can't release it right now. And then you're going to see this timeline just dragged on and on and on. And the second thing, as the timeline gets dragged on and on and on, I want to remind everyone that the FBI tasked thousands, not hundreds, thousands of FBI agents to spend their time not protecting us from threats, but no, to scrub Donald Trump's name from the Epstein files. And as Allison Gill on Mueller, she wrote, broke it, and then later was confirmed by CBS, they used the same Excel sheet. So all of this was open to the thousands of people. And she says she got a whistleblower from one of the FBI agents who talked about this. So there's 4 plugs he has to leak, Daniel, real quick, that I don't think he can, which is why he's stuck. The thousands of FBI agents who have seen these files, and we're all sharing it from the Excel sheet.
On one Excel.
On one Excel. The survivors themselves who are now more emboldened and feel strength. Ghislaine Maxwell herself, who, by the way, she's going to get her pardon. And what happened yesterday? He said he's, again, for the second time, did not rule out pardoning Ghislaine Maxwell. And then for themselves, you finally have the Epstein files and the tranche of documents from the Epstein estate. And Democrats already have thousands of documents they haven't released. And Epstein's brother has those files. 4 holes I don't think he can plug. And this is him just trying to buy time. You asked me a simple question. I just tried to connect the dots.
No. But I think that that's right, because I was thinking about it. When I texted you last night, I said, I said, this reeks, right? Like, this reeks. And I think that we have to really look into this about face that he is making. And it's absolutely true. He called for earlier in the week, right after the 23,000 documents were released by the Epstein estate, not by the FBI, but by the Epstein estate. He said to Pam Bondi, you need to do an investigation into Democrats, into Bill Clinton, Larry Summers, and what other Democrats show up in these files, right? What we are going to see, and I totally believe everything that you're saying, is that, yes, he is going to, that Bondi is going to say, oh, here's what you need to do. You need to call for the release of the files, but I'm not going to release the files because we're in an active investigation, because you just called for an active reopen of this investigation. We'll only we'll say, oh, what's out there is out there. And what, even if, right? Because again, folks, we need a super majority in the House in order to overrun a veto, right? We have the 218 votes, but in order to override a veto, I think you need 290, right? Which is where the 50 to 100 Republicans who are now willing to vote for the release of these files. But on top of which, you also need the Senate. And we know that the Senate Republicans don't have an appetite. But as of today, Murkowski and I think one other Republican senator has called for the release of the Epstein files.
Wow. So, I didn't see that. Wow.
Donald Trump needs to, one, look like he still has control of MAGA by telling them to do what they were already in the House planning to do. But if you look at what he said in his Truth Social post, he wasn't calling for the entire Republican Congress to do the right thing. He was saying that the House Republicans should do it because he knows that it's not going to pass in the Senate, right? But if you begin to see these cracks, these fissures, right, that are getting bigger by the day, I think that what's going to end up happening is that you still are not going to have this vote in the Senate, but you're going to have more Republican senators do just enough to have the appearance that they want to do the right thing without actually having the accountability to do the right thing. But regardless of that, I believe that this is the anvil that is going to bring down this entire regime. Donald Trump is weak. We have never seen MAGA this weak before. And if I'm Democrats, but of course they love to snatch victory from the mouth. So I don't think that they're going to capitalize on this in any type of way. The Schumers and the Jeffries of the world. But I'm telling you, this week, hold on, folks. I told Waj, I said, buckle up. because I think we're about to see some crazy shit this week. I'm calling one, escalation in Venezuela, mad escalation in Venezuela. I'm calling two, crazy escalation with ICE,
Yep.
which we're already seeing in Charlotte, North Carolina, where restaurants are shuttered because of their amped up ICE presence there. So I'm calling these things. We're in a hyper wag the dog, rat in a corner moment for Donald Trump, which spells disaster for the rest of us.
He's a cornered New York City sewer rat who will chew through anything and everyone to stay alive, even if it means chewing through an electrical wire that will burn down the entire city. That's who Donald Trump is. He does not care about anything or anyone other than himself. We have been saying now for many, many months that Donald Trump's Achilles cankle is the Epstein files, which should probably be called now the Trump Epstein files. He's all over it. I believe we're witnessing the biggest political cover-up in our lifetime. The Wall Street Journal has been reporting on it. You know, that right-wing rag, the Wall Street Journal, not lefties. He's known he's in the files. Pam Bondi knows he's in the files. Dan Bongino knows he's in the files. Kash Patel has known he's in the files. They know that this is disastrous, not just for Donald Trump, but for the MAGA movement. Mike Johnson, instead of just having a vote, and they didn't even have the 218 votes in August, but he was so terrified of even having the vote or potential defections, he called a recess early and sent the House Republicans to Israel, where they met Benjamin Netanyahu in August. All right, he delayed swearing in Adalita Grijalva for nearly 2 months. That is not the behavior of a party that believes that their king and daddy is an innocent man. Also, that I agree with you with the escalation and the wag the dog when it comes to Venezuela, when it comes to terrorizing Americans with the ICE. Another one that we just saw as we start off the show is he's going to unleash the DOJ to investigate Democrats and liberals. It's going to be mostly bullshit lawsuits like what's happening with Letitia James.
Distraction.
Comey, just to rally the base. He's desperate, folks. But no matter what he does, the base is cracking on this issue. And not just the base, a number that I've brought up for the last 2 months, because I try to pay attention to this, is the only thing that unifies a majority of Americans is the Epstein files. Regardless of whether you're Republican, independent, liberal, or Democrat, over 75% of Americans, and I believe that number is going to increase, want the release of the entirety of the Epstein files. And we have been saying the Epstein files and the economy are Donald Trump's two Achilles cankles, and you will see slight defections. Well, here comes those defections, and here comes the cracks. Danielle, tell them about the first crack.
I mean, here, like, look. So one, here we have, which is Tom Massey has been on a crusade with Ro Khanna for the last several for the last several months, right? And what is really interesting right now is that you are seeing Donald Trump again. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. These are Republicans. So I'm not like feeling bad for these people, although I don't want anything to happen to anyone, because we should live in a country where you were allowed to have rigorous debate and opposition without the fear of, oh, I don't know, being doxxed or being murdered. Just an idea. Nonetheless, Donald Trump is now turning on Tom Massey, turning on Marjorie Taylor Greene, turning on every single Republican that is coming out and saying, like, yeah, why are we protecting pedophiles? Like, that just doesn't feel good. So here is Adam Kinzinger, who you all remember, again, another Republican that was run out of Congress because he believed that what he saw on January 6th was absolutely beyond the pale. So he says this: Trump, the thrice married Epstein listed rotten man, is attacking Representative Tom Massey for getting listen to this shit, because it's gross. Attacking Representative Tom Massey for getting remarried after tragically losing his wife. This is beyond the pale and pure evil. Massey and I weren't very close, but he's a good man and I wish the best. Trump is evil to the core. And here is what Donald Trump said with regard to Massey. Did Thomas Massey, sometimes referred to as Rand Paul Jr., because of the fact that he always votes against the Republican Party, get married already? Boy, That was quick. No wonder the polls have him at least less than 8% chance of winning election. Anyway, have a great life, Thomas, and question mark. His wife will soon find out that she's stuck with a loser.
Who, like, just folks, I know we normalize this, but we shouldn't. Just think about this for a second. It's Sunday. People are at home.
Mhm.
Most people are watching Monday Night Football, Lions Eagles game. All right. You're with your family. What do people do? Watch a movie, relax, cozy up with your wife, your kids. You know, they post about a movie they've seen, experience they've had, the football game, basketball game, great basketball game last night too, Rockets versus Magic. You talk about, oh, I don't know, something you did over the weekend. You post a photo of your cat. And just look at what Donald Trump and Elon Musk post about. Just think about it for a second. I was thinking about this. These are some of the most powerful, wealthy men on earth.
Mhm.
Nothing but hate, grievance, rage,
Mhm.
self-aggrandizement, bluster, conspiracy theories. How like, when do they post about anything normal? Just think about it. Who posts this, number one, ever? But number two, the most powerful man on earth who has, I don't know, if you read his security briefings, he would realize he actually, has a lot of fires burning around the world that he should be on top of, but he's golfing or sleeping. And then decides, you know what, let me not comfort America as there is inflation and record grocery prices. Let me mock a Republican in the most disgusting, debased way possible because he got remarried, after losing the love of his life. And because I want to show the world this is what I do to people who don't listen to me. And you better not release the Epstein files because otherwise I'm going to mock you and your wife. Oh, yeah, he already did this. He's done this his entire career. He mocked Ted Cruz
Yep.
and Ted Cruz's father and Ted Cruz's mother. And Ted Cruz said, thank you, might have another, and now lives
Yep.
firmly in his anus. He did this to Lindsey Graham and shared his cell phone, right? And now Lindsey Graham lives firmly in his anus next to Ted Cruz. This is who he is. And I want everyone, but as we're going to talk about the rehabilitation. We're going to talk about that.
Mhm.
I have my
Mhm.
theories about what's going to happen, my predictions.
Mhm.
All the people who went along with this, his base, the triple Trumpers, he has always been this. And they're like, this is my king and my daddy. And what does that say about them? And what does that say about the Republican Party, Danielle? And what does that say about our country?
I mean, this is why it's so important that we continue to bring these things up and not normalize them because this is not normal behavior. This is absolutely repugnant behavior. This is childish behavior. This is unbecoming of the office of the presidency, which is now been dragged into the sewer. Right, like when we look, there. Interestingly enough, and I didn't pull this for today, but folks, I encourage you to read it. I think it's over. It's either at the New York Times or at the New Yorker. But it was an article talking about the fact that America's cultural standing in the world is now in the trash because of MAGA. That no one is aspiring around the world, right, to come to America, to be in America. That from universities to innovation to even music and culture, like America, because of Donald Trump and MAGA, is in the gutter. And these are things that, this is generational damage. We've been talking about this for forever. This is generational damage. And look, there's a lot of, colonialism and colonization and all of those things with regard to America having the best PR in the world, despite not having healthcare, not having parental leave, not having a whole lot of shit that other industrialized nations actually have and have had, not having, I don't know, high speed trains and rails that Japan has had for the last 60 fucking years because they actually use their tax dollars to invest in infrastructure and not just into the Pentagon. Nonetheless, I say all these things because I think that it is important for us not to get locked into this idea of like, oh, well, like this is how it always is and this is how it will always be. No, Donald Trump has brought this country into fucking sewer goddamn politics. And I think that it is incredibly important that as we are trying to recognize and see these fissures and fractures, that we remember that we have the ability to bring ourselves back up to daylight, that we don't have to stay in the sewer because that's where Donald Trump and MAGA want to live. Moving on. I just want to play this clip of Massey because I do think that, again, this is something that he has been reminding Republicans of over the last couple of weeks. And, I think, and this is something else I want to ask you, Waj, because folks are finally starting to utter these two words that no president wants to hear, which is lame duck,
Yeah.
right? That they have not been talking about Donald Trump as a lame duck because they even went so far as to indulge his fantasy of a run for 2028. But now people are starting to talk about lame duck Donald Trump. Hold on, because these things never play for me, because why? But I think that this is really, it's important to remember this man is not going to be running forever,
Nope.
right?
I would remind my Republican colleagues who are deciding how to vote, Donald Trump can protect you in red districts right now by giving you an endorsement. But in 2030, he's not going to be the president, and you will have voted to protect pedophiles if you don't vote to release these files, and the president can't protect you then. This vote, the record of this vote, will last longer than Donald Trump's.
Will last longer than Donald Trump's presidency. And that is 100% the truth.
Yeah, he sees where the wind is blowing. Marjorie Taylor Greene sees where the wind is blowing. Nick Fuentes sees where the wind is blowing. And the wind is blowing away from Donald Trump and nudging him towards the grave. He is 79 years old. He's cankled. He looks desperate, weak, sick, pathetic. He's rambling. His approval rating is at 37, which is just remarkably low. I think it's going to go to 35 or lower. He's negative 39 on the Epstein files. The economy is shit. All these people are now figuring out what we've been saying for a while. Oh, it's only the billionaires and rich people are getting richer. Yeah, no shit, folks. We told you, but your racism blinded you, and you thought me and Danielle and our families would suffer. It seems like you're suffering just as bad, if not worse. And then furthermore, they said America first, America first. But now you're cozying up to Israel, and you're starting a war with Venezuela, and you're giving a $40 billion bailout to your buddies in Argentina. What the F? So they're realizing, oh, wait, these people don't care about us. We voted for him to make our life better. Our life is worse. And it could be that our king and daddy is either allegedly a pedophile or partied with a pedophile. And I believe that Massey and MTG and other people on the Hill, based on what we've heard, based on what we know, they realize their king and daddy probably raped girls. And they realize it's only a matter of when, not if, those evidence those photos are released. And they realize anyone who's attached to a pedophile and a pedophile ring of billionaires, especially as the 99% rage is growing against the 1%, their career's over, but their safety will be in question. So I see where he knows where the wind is blowing. And the other person who knows where the wind is blowing is Marjorie Taylor Greene. She has been America first from day one, pro-Trump, pro-border, anti-woke. And now, folks, Trump turned on Massey. And then he's doubled down on going against Marjorie Taylor Greene. Marjorie Taylor Greene, folks, if you've been following, she blamed Mike Johnson for the shutdown. If you've been following, she went on mainstream media and talked about rising prices and how her sons in Georgia can't get health care, don't have jobs. She's the one who said, America first. A new phrase I want you all to just keep your antennas out for, right? Just watch for it. America first, America only.
Oh, America only. Yep.
That's going to be a new phrase, which means, wait for it, not Venezuela, not Argentina,
Israel,
and specifically not Israel. All right.
Yep.
And so economy, Epstein, America first, Israel. That's what's made her moved on. And also, she's very, very petty. You know, this is why I love it. The monster that they nurtured and created is destroying themselves. If I may, Daniel, real quick we're going to talk about Marjorie Taylor Greene. Republicans had the Southern strategy. The Southern strategy, ever since the Civil Rights Act, was to court white anxiety and cultural anxiety over racism. And they won over all the Southern Democrats. Lyndon B. Johnson predicted it. He's from the South. He goes, Democrats have lost whites for generations. All right. They did what was called dog whistles back in the day when you and I were young, Danielle. And they couldn't say the N-word, as Lee Atwater, famous Republican strategist, said in 1980. So we can't use the N-word. So we found another way around it. welfare queens, busing, right? Crack cocaine, drug war. All these were euphemisms for anti-black, anti-brown, pro-white. Right? They nurtured it. They nurtured it. They kept it. It was like a dog on a leash. We'll let the dog out, but we'll rein him back in. We're in control. Then the Tea Party comes after the election of President Barack Obama.
Mm-hmm.
And the Tea Party is like, no, we want to go kind of all in on this. And they're like, no, you're still our dog on the leash. And they're like, nah, I think you're our dog. And in 2014, right here in Virginia, the Republican establishment went all in with Eric Cantor. Eric Cantor was going to be the future of the party. Paul Ryan, Kevin Johnson. They even wrote a book. They were on the cover. And then David Bratt comes out of nowhere, this insurgent Tea Party guy, knocks him out. Well, what happens a year later? Donald Trump goes down the escalator. Mexicans are rapists, ban Muslims, right? And now, after nurturing Donald Trump and his cruelty for 10 years, Donald Trump is the rhino, right? Marjorie Taylor Greene, who they thought they could contain for 4 years, right? I said it, I wrote it. It's in the Daily Beast. She's the present and future of the Republican Party. And now that monster that they nurtured and enabled has now turned on its creator, her and Nick Fuentes.
I mean, I think that, look, and here's the thing, because people keep saying, like, oh, I don't trust her. I don't trust her. Ain't nobody telling you to trust Marjorie Taylor Greene. Trust your eyes and your ears and trust what you've always known her to be. She is an opportunist, right? She saw an opportunity to rise to fame on the curtails of Donald Trump and MAGA, right? Which we are going to play you those clips because folks in mainstream corporate media seem to have fell down and bumped their little heads and forget exactly who the fuck she is and what she was saying. This is the same woman that was running around with a fake gun on Capitol Hill, chasing David Hogg, a survivor of the Parkland shooting, and telling him that, oh, his entire, trauma around watching his friends get shot and die in their classrooms was something that he made up and that he was a crisis actor. This is who Marjorie Taylor Greene has always been, the person that talked about Jewish space lasers, the person that now wants to tell you that, oh, by the way, it was just, I got caught up in the QAnon conspiracy as everyone else got caught up in the QAnon conspiracy. No, bitch, you absolutely see where the wind is fucking blowing and your broomstick is blowing in a different direction than it has been. And you are seeing an opportunity because you are seeing a fracture that is happening inside of MAGA. And in order to carry, right, that torch of America first and America only, you are seeing that Donald Trump is no longer the leader of that party if he's giving $40 billion to Argentina, if he's giving billions of dollars to Israel, if he's paying attention to what is happening in Venezuela. That is not America first. But understand, while those of us that are progressive do not want our tax dollars to be going to assassinate fishermen, right? She's coming to this place from an anti-Semitic and racist lens.
There you
so
go.
Don't get it twisted. But mainstream corporate media absolutely is. And I want to play this clip of her once again with Dana Bash on CNN talking about, a change is going to come.
You posted on X that President Trump is, with his comments, fueling a, quote, hotbed of threats against you. Obviously, any threats to your safety are completely unacceptable. But we have seen these kinds of attacks or criticism from the president at other people. It's not new. And with respect, I haven't heard you speak out about it until it was directed at you.
Dana, I think that's fair criticism. And I would like to say humbly, I'm sorry for taking part in the toxic politics. It's very bad for our country. And it's been something I've thought about a lot, especially since Charlie Kirk was assassinated, is that I'm only responsible for myself and my own words and actions. And I am committed, and I've been working on this a lot lately, to put down the knives in politics. I really just want to see people be kind to one another, and we need to figure out a new path forward that is focused on the American people, because as Americans, no matter what side of the aisle we're on, we have far more in common than we have differences. Yeah. And we need to be able to respect each other with our disagreements.
So just in case, and again, Donald Trump is putting her life in danger. He is doing all of these things. He's doing all of the things that, mind you, Marjorie Taylor Greene herself egged on when it was directed at Democrats and not directed at her. And so Dana Bash should have followed up, but of course we know that she doesn't follow up and be like, that's interesting that you say that you're apologetic now, because your entire career up until a few months ago was based on creating this kind of vitriol and this divisiveness with regard to the with regard to Democrats in this country. And just so we remember, right? Just so we remember, because again, America collectively has a memory of a gnat.
No, not us though. We keep
not
receipts.
us. Marjorie Taylor Greene says the sergeant at arms asked her to leave if she didn't take off her hat, and she refused. And I just want to, again, play this clip of the Marjorie Taylor Greene we have all known and despised.
Here's what offended me. Here's what I found to be outrageous is Sergeant at Arms came up and told me that I needed to take the hat off. And I said, I'm not taking the hat off. I refused to take it off. And he said, well, it's decorum. I said, I certainly understand. You do what you need to do. I'll pay a fine. I'll do whatever, a warning, whatever there is. But I'm not taking the hat off. And he said, well, you're going to have to leave, or we're going to take you out. And I was like, you can haul me out of here. Go ahead and try it, but I'm not taking this hat off. And I told him, I'm elected by my district. This is the people's house. I will wear this hat. I will wear it here in the House floor because my district supports President Trump, supports Make America Great Again policies, and supports me wearing this hat. I'm not taking it off, and I'm not leaving.
Whoopsie. Say she had it all. She had it all. Say her name, Ashley Babbitt, Biden border crisis, MAGA hat, all of it. And now, folks, both Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massie, they're realizing what the rest of us realize, that when you turn on Donald Trump, and if Donald Trump and his base get you in their sights, your life is threatened. Both Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massie have now said that they have received threats, not from the libs, not from progressives, not from people of color, not from Antifa, from Danielle, their own base.
Their own base.
And we did the job that corporate media should have done. They have more money than us, but we stayed up late, and we brought the receipts of what and who Marjorie Taylor Greene is. Danielle.
Marjorie Taylor Greene indicated support for executing prominent Democrats in 2018 and 2019 before running for Congress, right? Marjorie Taylor Greene used her platform to say that, no, there is no compromise when it comes. It's either our way or they should die. Like, that is who Marjorie Taylor Greene is, down to her core. So while we can absolutely say, let's use Marjorie Taylor Greene and a Tom Massie in order to further the fracture inside of MAGA, don't get it twisted. Like, we're saying, oh, our tent is so big, I'm willing to accept white supremacists and fucking lunatics into it. No, absolutely not. But when you see an opportunity, which is this MAGA civil war that is happening, you absolutely use it to your benefit, unlike what the establishment Democrats are choosing to do. As Nancy Pelosi said, oh, we got bigger fish to fry. There are more things that are important. There is nothing more important than bringing down the Trump regime. And I don't give a fuck how it comes down. I don't care if it is through the Epstein files, through a national strike, whatever it is, they got to go. But Donald Trump is clearly being seen now, as I will say it again, as a lame duck. And we need to continue to call him that, so that Republicans know that they can't ride this ride that they have been on for the last 10 years. Oh, it is coming to a fucking end. And we will have the receipts when they all try and remake themselves and say that they never went along with the MAGA agenda and, oh, Donald Trump made them cringe and this, that, and the other thing. No, roll the fucking tape is what I'm going to say over and over and over again.
Marjorie Taylor Greene threatened to execute Democrats. Marjorie Taylor Greene has threatened Fauci. Marjorie Taylor Greene followed David Hogg, a high school shooting survivor, threatened him. Marjorie Taylor Greene has threatened AOC. Marjorie Taylor Greene, I will never forget, had a photo of her wearing sunglasses, holding a gun, and behind her was the squad Ilhan Omar. Marjorie Taylor Greene talked about Jewish space lasers. Marjorie Taylor Greene spoke at Nick Fuentes' conference along with Paul Gosar. Nick Fuentes has always been an America First white Christian nationalist neo-Nazi, and she did not throw him under the bus. And even on Dana Bash's show, when Dana Bash asked her about it, she said, you should invite Nick Fuentes on the show. See that? The white nationalist never leaves. It always comes out. This is who Marjorie Taylor Greene is. So what I say is you use her. You use her as a tool to destroy MAGA, but you don't have to embrace her, folks. And some Democrats are like, often, let's just be honest, some of them are white, are saying, well, welcome, Marjorie Taylor Greene. No. I'm not saying that. I say divide and conquer. I say let them fight. I say use her like she's using you, but know exactly what you're getting. Know exactly the type of snake she is, and use her venom against her own masters. Don't embrace the snake who will bite you in the ass, right? And this is what Democrats do all the time. They would rather embrace a Liz Cheney and an Adam Kinzinger and a Marjorie Taylor Greene than a Palestinian or a pro-Palestinian activist or an undocumented immigrant or a transgender person or a black person who's willing to actually, support them. They're like, ugh, you're gross. Marjorie Taylor Greene, Liz Cheney, please. Oh, we want Chet to love us. So I don't trust the Democratic leadership on this, which is why I think it's very important we bring the receipts and we remind people. And I think Marjorie Taylor Greene's cray, it can only stay it bubbles up under the surface.
Contained. It can only stay contained for so long. And then it starts to melt the walls out of whatever container it's in. So let us circle back now to where we are with regard to the Epstein files. And look, I know that there are a lot of sensationalism that has been coming out of this, and I don't want us to lose sight of the girls and boys who were brutalized and sexualized and manipulated and harmed over the decades of involvement and being trapped inside of Epstein's pedophilia ring. But I just want to say this, because we have one picture of the White House trying to do their best spin work, right? As things are coming out such as this, which apparently there are photos of Donald Trump blowing someone named Bubba. We don't know, by the way, who this Bubba is. People are saying, oh, it's Bill Clinton, as he was famously known as Bubba, or there is somebody else. I think it's either, is it a senator or a governor? I don't know, who is also named Bubba, right? The fact is, Donald Trump is a predator, and that's something that we need to hold tight to. But and the things that are said in these things about Donald Trump, about one, the grammar, the unintelligible fucking emails are just wild from some that are supposed to be the, amazing geniuses that run this country. But look at this fucking rebrand photo, folks. This is, first off, number one, America's power couple. First of all, have y'all seen Melania Nazi Trump in recent weeks? Do we know what first lady agenda items and policy she is fucking working on? The bitch has been ghost for the last 11 months. But what they wanted to do is remind you that Donald Trump is a heterosexual and has a wife, as all of these things are beginning to come out that make it seem as if maybe not so much. That being said, what I don't have a clip of, Waj, and I wanted to know if you saw it, Fox last week, the end of last week, was doing, one of their polls, one of their infographic polls. And they had an age bracket that they were talking about adult women. And the age bracket began at 15 years old, not at 18, which is actually the legal age of an adult woman in these United States. The age bracket began at 15, and everyone on Threads and Blue Sky was losing their fucking minds because it was so clear that Fox is now just casually trying to plant the seeds that they know that the inevitable is going to come out, that Donald Trump raped children, girls, and that they are trying to say, which Megyn Kelly offered last week, well, there's a difference between 5 and 15, and isn't 15 an adult now? I'm sorry, what?
It's happening. As Danielle said, they threw the chum in the water. They have tried to mainstream this new talking point because they realized, most likely, that Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein chased and raped models and young girls from the ages of 14 to 19, maybe younger. I want to remind people that there are 4 women, now they're women, who have said that when Donald Trump owned Miss USA and Miss Teen USA,
Yep.
that this creepy old pervert used to go into the dressing room
Yep.
of Miss Teen USA. 4 different women have said that. He's been held liable for sexual assault. He's been held liable for defamation. He has bragged about grabbing women by the pee. He partied with Epstein for 10 years. Jeffrey Epstein is the most notorious pedophile that we've known in modern history. Jeffrey Epstein has said that Donald Trump was his closest friend. We know that nearly 24 women have accused him of sexual assault. We know he's had what? 5? How many kids does he have? 5 different kids from 3 different women.
5 different kids by 3 different women.
He's
Yes.
cheated on each one of his wives. And now, I love this. I mean, it's all nonsense. It's probably nonsense, but just the fact that MAGA has to sit with the image of their king giving oral sex to Bill Clinton, and the fact that, folks, you know, you sit there and you go, whatever, nonsense. They posted this because that Epstein file email has legs, because it's spreading throughout MAGA that their king and daddy gave a blowjob allegedly to Bill Clinton. And this photo would not have come out if that photo was not, forgive me for saying this, sticking. It's a sticky photo. The image is sticky. And they're like, whoa, no homo. Look, with his wife. Melania Trump is nowhere to be seen. Melania Trump lives in Trump Towers. Even when they're together, they like live on separate floors. Okay. She finds him repulsive. He barely tolerates her. She used him. He used her. But now the fact that they're saying this has penetrated in MAGA world, and their homophobia is now being weaponized against them. And so much so that Nick Fuentes, like their new monster that they can't contain, says the signs were there. His anthem is the YMCA by the Village People.
I got it.
I love this.
59 cent $20. Really unfortunate that Trump has been outed as gay. This is definitely worse than if he had sex with some teenage girl. Do you think he's a top or bottom?
Well, all they said is that he blew Bill Clinton. So does that count as top or bottom? I don't think that counts. So I don't know. I don't think that's real. It is funny though. The idea, well, hey, the signs were there. What's his fucking anthem? His anthem is the YMCA by the Village People. That's crazy that like diehard Trump supporters called me gay, and then they went to the RNC where he was dancing with the Village People to the YMCA on stage. Like, self-awareness much?
I can only take so much of his fucking voice. But here's the thing. Here is the thing that I really don't want us to lose sight of, right? Because I thought that what of course is absolutely sick in the Nick Fuentes like Groyper world that he has created is the fact that what was said at the top is it is worse to imagine Donald Trump as being gay or having sex with a man than it is for him to having raped 15-year-old girls. And so I am going to play a part of the PSA from the Epstein victims holding up the images of themselves at the time that they met Jeffrey Epstein, because apparently the Megyn Kellys of the world and the Foxes of the world and the Nick Fuenteses of the world and the Groypers, again, are trying to tell us, change the scale of age and adulthood, right? And I want to show you this because I know that many people have seen it. I think that it's important. It's an important reminder.
I suffered so much pain.
So much pain.
So much pain.
I suffered so much pain. I was 14 years old.
I was 16 years old.
I was 16.
17.
14 years old.
This is me.
This was me.
This is me.
When I met Jeffrey Epstein.
This is me. When I met Jeffrey Epstein.
There are about 1,000 of us.
And I just again, because I'm having a
Danielle is glitching a bit. I'm going to wait for her to come back. That's the first time actually I've seen that, folks. And that's the Farmer Sister. I think a Farmer Sister is there. One of the Farmer Sisters who were one of the first people to come out and actually say that they were abused by Jeffrey Epstein. And this was over 20 years ago. So if you really think about it, for 2 decades, people have known that Jeffrey Epstein was raping girls. And for 2 decades, there was a cabal of billionaires and wealthy people and famous people who hid the fact that Jeffrey Epstein and his cabal of powerful friends were chasing girls. Michael Wolff, very problematic, I know, but when I interviewed him, he said that the girls that Donald Trump and Epstein were chasing were ages 14 to 19. They partied all throughout the 90s, almost a decade. We have the videos of them biting their lips. We've seen the photos. I want to remind everyone that Donald Trump has tried to distance himself from Jeffrey Epstein, that Donald Trump has called it a hoax, the Epstein files, that Donald Trump, when asked twice on camera, going back even yesterday, will you pardon Ghislaine Maxwell, a woman who was serving, or I should say was serving, a 20-year sentence for being the accomplice of Jeffrey Epstein for sex trafficking. For the survivor said that even Ghislaine, in addition to grooming these girls, raped these girls with Epstein. You know what Donald Trump said? Well, I guess I couldn't I? He didn't rule it out. So you show good save, watch Motown Mimi. No, it's fine. Daniel will come back. This is we're professionals. This is what we do. But hopefully Danielle can come back. And Danielle has actually, because this is Danielle's StreamYard, she has all the, if you will, the assets that we use. It loads up on Danielle's non-mine. So I'm waiting for Danielle to hopefully come back. But until then, we're going to keep it going. This is who Epstein was. This is who Donald Trump is. This is what they have been covering up. And because I like to keep the receipts, I want to remind you that the Wall Street Journal, yes, the Wall Street Journal, the right-wing Wall Street Journal, right? Wall Street Journal reported that Pam Bondi, his attorney general, told Donald Trump back in April that he's in the files, which means when Donald Trump was asked about it, what did he do? He lied. I also remind you that, again, Mike Johnson called recess early instead of having a vote on releasing the Epstein files. I want to remind you that Ghislaine Maxwell got transferred from Florida to Texas, and nobody is asking why did this woman who allegedly raped these girls who were serving a 20-year prison sentence get transferred and get pampered. This is what's happening right now. Danielle, I was just connecting dots, waiting for you to come back. And also I was telling people I lost the assets. There you go. The assets have come back. I just want people to sit with this right now. Again, this is the biggest cover-up in modern history. These men raped girls, and everyone knew it, and they let them get away with it. And Jeffrey Epstein got a sweetheart deal in 2008, where instead of spending the rest of his life in prison, he only spent about a day of the week in prison. And for the rest of the 6 days, he was out doing what? Raping girls. And furthermore, all these powerful men knew about it, and they still emailed him, still went to his house, still went to dinners. People like Larry Summers and Peter Thiel and Steve Bannon, billionaires like Leslie Wexner, Leon Black, all these men are alive, folks. Ehud Barak's aide, and so many others. This is going to Mandy says watch talks too fast, everyone loses connection at some point. That's hilarious. This is going to bring down so many powerful people, and I think it's only a matter of when, Danielle. It's only a matter of when, not if.
And that's why I think that, and I apologize, folks. I played that video, it glitched, and then it shut my whole computer down. But that's why you are seeing, whether it be Nick Fuentes, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Tom Massey, and others inside of this world begin to jump ship, because they are realizing, right? Like, oh, the ship, it is leaking. Yep. Right? Like the Titanic that is Trump, that we thought, would never would continue, and we're going to turn this country around. We got Project 2025 and all of these things. You put all of your trust and faith in a child rapist.
Yep.
You put all your trust and faith into somebody who, folks, there are pictures. I'm certain there are pictures. I'm certain there are videos. There are all of these things. And so when you see now, right, whether it's the Candace Owens of the world, Candace Owens, are you done, with Donald Trump? And she's saying he's been a chronic disappointment. And I feel embarrassed that I told people to go vote for him. This is not the candidate that I voted for. I'm sorry, what? Like, what?
There's an Arabic word for this, if I could teach everyone. It's called a bullshit. A bullshit. I saw this, I quote reposted it. I'm like, this is exactly who he was. This is what you sign up for. You've known about this. I've known about this. What are you talking about? You rode him to your personal glory and fame and clicks and celebrity and money. And now that the cankled pedophile seems to be weakening, now you're abandoning ship. Oh, no, no, no. I know you're all going to get rehabilitated. We'll talk about that in a second. And I just want to prepare people because I want to let you know how the town works. But I want to make sure that you just wear that MAGA hat a little bit longer. I want to remind everyone that we told you and you didn't care, because it was helping you and your agenda and your bullshit culture war and helping you become millionaires. You knew this about him. We all knew this about him. People of color knew this about him. He's the one who wanted a complete ban on Muslims until we could figure out what's going on. And then he did the Muslim ban. Mocked and ridiculed Mexicans, mocked and ridiculed black people, mocked and ridiculed President Obama, was the one who promoted the birther conspiracy that forced the first black president. Look how disgusting this is. President Obama, regardless of what you think about him, had to show his birth certificate. And this man, who is a criminal, who incited a violent insurrection, who has been held liable for sexually assaulting E. Jean Carroll, you all were fine with it. You all were perfectly fine with the violent insurrection. You were perfectly fine with him lying to us about COVID, which killed over 1 million people eventually. Bob Woodward sat on that shit for a year. You were fine with it. You were fine with the trade wars. You were fine with ICE terrorizing innocent brown people, deporting Kilmar Abrego Garcia to die in a prison, going after pro-Palestinian activists. You all were fine with it. You loved it. You celebrated it. You were holding up signs, deport them now in 2024. And now the Candace Owens, and someone said Tim Dillon. There you go. Danielle, see? Look at that.
I got it.
That's
I got it. Because hopefully I can play this clip, because I'm just like, oh, it is amazing the about face that folks are trying to make right now.
Look at Trump here, and I do think, unfortunately, this kind of is the end of, and I say unfortunately not because I care, truly, but I say unfortunately because it seems to not be doing anything good for anyone. This is the end of the Trump administration. This is the beginning of the lame duck presidency. It's obvious to everyone, even his most ardent supporters show up to the White House, like Laura Ingraham, and she's kind of shocked on what the hell's going on. Now we'll start, 3 years of talking about the ballroom. He will trail off. He will get older. He's adorned the White House in gold. Epstein's going to suck the oxygen out of a lot of this. We're going to talk about that a little later on. Apparently AI, by the way, the only thing I'm sure of about AI, I'm not an expert, is that AI, as soon as we have robots running around this country, they'll all be pedophiles too. There's no one in power that will apparently just not be a pedophile. All these robots will be pedophiles. 100% will do a pedophile robots. Our first robot president will be a pedophile. I know that. It's the only thing I know. Our first.
What I know is that if you looked up douche in the dictionary, I'm pretty sure you were seeing a picture of that man. Why are you wearing ski goggles inside?
All these Tim Dillon, for those who don't know, is part of the MAGA
Oof.
brosphere. These comedians who aren't comedians, and when they do comedy, it's terrible, are these podcast hosts, right? Friends of Joe Rogan or adjacent to Joe Rogan, whom MAGA used in 2024 to get a lot of young men on board, right? The influencers, the Barstool bros, the Joe Rogan bros, right? The Andrew Schultz bros. All these people, much like Candace Owens, went along for the ride, right? They sat there and they promoted the anti-woke agenda, and they had Trump on, they had JD Vance on, they had Kash Patel on, they yucked. And now all these guys who made their millions and got their base by trafficking in the anti-woke, anti-LGBTQ, anti-immigrant, pro-Trump bonanza, right? Now they realize, oh shit, a lot of my base, especially the young people, are what? They're abandoning Trump. So guess what they're doing now? They're not saying, oh, I was wrong. They're not saying, I'm so sorry, folks. I was misled and I misled you. What they're doing is just pivoting away. I don't want them to pivot away. I want them just to be a little bit uncomfortable. And we're going to talk about what's going to happen to them, Danielle. But I believe it is important for our sake, right? Strategy. First and foremost, the more and more these people pivot away, divide and conquer. Let them fight. Amplify. Let Donald Trump turn on them. Widen the fissures, widen the fissures, widen the fissures, weaken them. I want to remind people Donald Trump's favorability is at 37. He's negative double digits on Epstein. He's negative double digits on the economy. And now he's negative on his one strong issue, which is immigration. That he can still go more and more down, and he will. Our job is to completely just nonstop, relentless jabs, haymakers, death by 1,000 cuts.
Yeah, and I just, here's the thing. And again, you just said, and we're jumping around now because of the glitch and we're winding down. But I do want to say this with respect to the economy, right? Because I think that it's really important. Donald Trump is right now reversing on some of his tariffs, right? Because you create the fucking problem and then you come in with some type of solution. And then all of a sudden people are like, oh, Donald Trump has saved the economy that you were crashing by reversing your own tariffs. That is not a genius move, because every economist in the fucking world said that tariffs are a tax, right? Are a consumer tax and will devastate the economy. So now you are seeing like, oh, well, maybe if I make things just a little bit better, people will stop talking about Epstein and they'll start talking about how good the fucking economy is. The economy is not going to be good on a Donald Trump. It's just going to be a little less fucking bad. But I want you to take a listen, because again, it is really important to bring the receipts. It's really important to listen to this clip on CNN about the rollbacks of his tariffs due to the higher prices and where American people are right now. And again, it's important, just bringing all of the receipts.
Conservative. Donald Trump has never been a conservative. I remain vastly more conservative than Donald Trump is. Tariffs are taxes. Donald Trump has been a high tax president. He slapped very high taxes on the American people. He has seen the costs. Now he's trying to lower those taxes. The blowhards for years who said Donald Trump was a low tax president and lowered taxes, what I would point out to them is the average American family saved $1,600 a year from Donald Trump's tax cuts. Do you know what the average American family has spent because of his increase in prices? About $4,000 a year. Whatever tax cuts Donald Trump gave us, he wiped away with price increases. And now he's realizing what conservative economists have known for centuries: tariffs are taxes, and he's having to walk it back.
That was a conservative from Donald Trump's first administration in the Department of Homeland Security who has come out and is just like, hello, right? Like,
That's Miles. I've had Miles on before, and the first time I had Miles on, he said, "Listen, Waj, you guys were right. I was wrong." He admitted it. He goes, "You guys were right. I was wrong." And Miles is also the author of Anonymous. He was a whistleblower, and him and Olivia Troy are the ones who left in the first Trump administration. And Donald Trump has turned on Miles Taylor, and because Miles Taylor, called him out, Donald Trump signed an executive order accusing Miles Taylor, the guy you saw, of treason. And all these people went along with it. Miles Taylor, that's right. This is what happens when you go against Donald Trump. Well, now Thomas Massey, Margie Taylor Greene, and a whole bunch of other folks are going to figure it out. I want to quickly talk about two other things as we end. So
Okay.
you're seeing that. I'm glad Danielle brought that clip up, right? The trade wars, finally, after a year, Americans are realizing tariffs are taxes paid by us. They're feeling the sticker shock with the price of beef, price of groceries. Inflation has wiped out all the income gains, right? Job contraction. Only the top 10% are spending. The rest of us are trying to save our money. People are defaulting on their car loans. Folks, essentially, we're in a recession. It's going to get there. And we haven't even talked about the AI bubble bursting and eventually the crypto bubble bursting,
We'll
right?
get to that
It's
on
all
Friday.
bad. It's really bad right now. With all that, explain this to me. I just want your thoughts on this, Danielle. We were talking on WhatsApp yesterday.
So generic ballot polling, right? And showing you like where folks are on Trump, right? I don't understand, Wash. I do not understand how people in rural America in the GOP are still 58% on board with Donald Trump when in their region of the country is suffering in some instances more than everyone else is. Right? You got cattle farmers committing suicide. Donald Trump has sent your money to Argentina that he should have used to potentially bail out the farmers, but the farmers wouldn't have needed a bailout if you didn't go and fucking give their soy business to South America. But you look at this and you see the difference because, again, rural, suburban, urban. The education and access to quality education is different. And as that education starts to come in, you see the numbers dwindle for GOP support of Donald Trump. That's what I saw.
I see. Okay. In addition to that, and that's a very good point. I'm glad you brought that up because both Donald Trump and also Nick Fuentes recently have said they prefer their audience as stupid. They've openly admitted it for this reason. I also see what we've mentioned on the show several times that the two enduring sins of America, our original sins, are racism and greed, white supremacy and capitalism. And look at rural America. They would rather eat racism than food. Lyndon B. Johnson talked about in the 60s, the Southern strategy, right there, rural America. They would rather die. They would rather die of whiteness than the rest of us, including them, all raise up and lift up the, in the boats with the rising tide, right? They're like, no, no, no. I have to be higher than you. And if I can't be higher than you, I would rather drown, but I'd make sure that you drown with me. That to me is what that's saying. And also disinformation, conspiracy theories, bubble, lack of education. Now, I want you to get to the second one, suburban. What's your excuse, suburbans? You're about middle class, upper middle class. You're living, I'm assuming, in the suburbs. You're better off than the rural communities just based on income, wealth. You still love those tax cuts. And you want to live in the gated community. And you want to golf with Chet. And you want to have a Tesla. And you want to have one black friend. And maybe one good Muslim friend, and you're fine with a lesbian if she's cute, but you hate those trans, and you want to make sure that you're not uncomfortable, because nothing is worse than discomfort. Oh, you'll burn the world down rather than feel a second of discomfort. And then you look at urban, the people of color. The people who oftentimes are rich, poor, and hustling, right? The people who are forced to deal with like all, the rest of us who look like us. They know the okie doke. They know what's up. And that's the Democratic base. But the Democrats would drop kick you and me to go hug a Chet in rural America and make love to a Karen in the suburbs. Too soon or not soon enough?
It's just facts. Look, eventually, like we say, all of the leopards are going to get their faces eaten. Eventually, all of this, and it's happening sooner rather than later, that all of the chickens are coming home to roost, right? Donald Trump says everybody's talking about the Epstein files because they want to avoid talking about all of our successes. And I'm just like, you should want us to be talking about the Epstein files, because otherwise we're going to talk about your failure of a fucking economy, your failure of immigration, your failure of education, your failure of all of the issues that you campaigned on. Right? Like, at least at this point, all we are talking about the fact is that you're an alleged fucking child rapist, and not what a shitty fucking president you are on top of that. But look, when you are, again, we have not hit the year mark of this regime. 37% popularity is a new low. And I'm telling you, I believe that we are going to see Donald Trump get even lower, and it's going to be shocking.
Can I give you some breaking news, and can we end on this one? I do want to touch that story. I know we're going a little extra. Just give me 2 minutes. FEMA leader resigns after short tenure and criticism for being inaccessible during Texas floods. We talked about this guy back when he was appointed. David Richardson, a man who's
didn't know that there were hurricane seasons.
Yeah. There you go. David Richardson resigned as acting head of FEMA, according to sources familiar with the situation, where, as Danielle said, I'm so glad you brought it up, where FEMA officials, there were whistleblowers who said they asked him about what his plan was for hurricane season. He goes, huh? What's hurricane season? So speaking about DEI and affirmative action and, getting rid of the woke, you replace them with the world's most mediocre white people who keep failing up. And I have to end on this because, folks, I know you all are not going to like what I'm about to say. I got the white hairs. I've been in this game for a long time. So has Danielle, even though Danielle looks like she's 25 because black don't crack. Mashallah. No evil eye, no nazar. blowing on you. Protect the skin. Everyone in this town fails up. If you're in this town, I'm talking about DC in particular, but DC, New York, the Acela train, right?
Yep.
Media, business, wealth, and politics. If you're part of the club, they help you out. If you are part of the incestuous ecosystem, they help you out. To quote George Carlin, it's a big club and you ain't in it. So even though I've had a foot in that club, they've never invited me and I would never accept the invitation. Danielle's had a foot in the club. They'll never invite her. We're not part of the club, even though we do the same thing. I've been on CNN. She was just on MSNBC. I was writing for the New York Times. We ain't part of the club.
No.
The town protects its own. And why am I bringing this story up, which was trending over the weekend? And why should you care? Everyone wants accountability, and you deserve accountability. And everyone thinks all the people like the Candace Owens and the Tim Dillons and the Joe Rogans and corporate media, oh, they're going to have a comeuppance. Oh, for the past 10 years, they made their money off of Donald Trump. And oh, we're going to hold them accountable. Folks, just be prepared. They will all fail up. They will all fail up because they're part of the same club. They all belong to this town. When I was in CNN in the green room, I can tell you, all of them were chummy. All of them. Didn't matter if you're a Trumper or a Democrat or a host. They all went to the same parties. They all partied in vacation in the same places. They all dated each other, had sex with each other, married each other, cheated with each other, right? It's all big club. And I give you one example, and I think this will encapsulate what we have to make peace with. Because sometimes, you take the wins where you can, but the Tim Dillons, the Rogans, the Candace Owens, all of them are going to fail up. Olivia Nuzzi got fast-tracked somehow, and everyone was like, how'd this lady come out of nowhere and get fast-tracked and get these cushy jobs, right, in her late 20s? Whatever, okay. And all these white guys were fawning after her. I think they kind of wanted to bang her, right? And she was on CNN, yada, yada, yada. And then she is at New York Magazine, and she was tasked with covering RFK while RFK was running for president. Well, it was later revealed that she was having an affair with RFK, like a full-blown affair, where she alleges he said, I love you, I want to have your child. As she was having an affair with RFK, she was still covering him, not telling people I'm having an affair with a man I'm covering who might become president of the United States. Later, it was revealed that she was having an affair with a presidential candidate that she was covering. Now, if this was, God forbid, say Danielle, a black woman doing this, what would happen to Danielle? I just want you to sit there and think about it. Danielle would be driving an Uber right now to try to make ends meet, like so many other Americans, right? Her career would be over. What happened with Olivia Nuzzi? Less than a year later, book deal.
Yep.
She got hired by Vanity Fair as amazing journalists and journalists of color and women who are calling out the
Were
oligarchy and
fired.
Trump are being fired. And furthermore, this is what the New York Times decided to do in their rehab amazing puff piece on Olivia Nuzzi. Just Danielle.
Olivia Nuzzi broke a day one journalism ethics rule by having an affair with RFK Jr. while writing critically about his political opponent. She should be thrown out of journalism entirely, not given a PR makeover by the New York Times, which also, by the way, gave pedophilia a fucking makeover with their latest headline of, oh, the Epstein files also show us the New York City of yesteryear. I shit you not, they actually wrote that. And here they say she loved the politician, even as a reporter. He was then a presidential. She loved his eyes; they were blue. I mean,
If you read this article, it's clear.
I
Clearly,
will
this
not.
dude. Clearly, the dude who wrote this article, it's like he really wants to have sex with her. That's all I could say. Like he really wants to have sex with this subject. It's just weird. It's a weird article, weird puff piece. Look at the photo. I want to remind you all, Vanity Fair gave her a job, and she has a book coming out. And if it was someone like, and I said this, and I'll say it again. Imagine if it were a black woman, what would have happened to her? They will all fail up, folks. I have nothing against Olivia Nuzzi. I met her once or twice in the CNN green room. This is not like out of any personal bitterness. I'm using her as an example. They will all fail up. They all protect each other. It's a big club and you ain't in it. So for us, we got to go for the big wins. Bring down Trump. Bring down Epstein. Bring down all these people who are complicit. And then realize, just like the war criminals who cheerled the war on terror, all of them, Danielle, all of them failed up. Maybe, just maybe, we can go after some of these terrible people and then go for reform. Just preparing people.
Just preparing people. And before we get out of here, again, thank you to the super stickers and super thanks and those that have become a member of the Danielle Moody channel. Folks, we are independent media. We don't get to fail, let alone fail up. Right? We got to be perfect and great all of the time and do so on a shoestring fucking budget. So
Literally.
we are people powered. Barb, thank you for the $5. Susan always coming in. Joshua coming in deep for $50. Thank you so much. AV becoming a member. Julie with $20. Susan again. Cindy becoming a member. Ave coming in at $2. Every dollar counts. Josie becoming a member. Chiara with $10. Game Shark with $5. Chiara again with $2. Appreciate you. Motown with $1.99.
Huge.
Susan
Thank
again.
you, guys.
Ghostface Killer with $5. Navy with $4.99. Susan again. Motown with $9.99. And Susan again, our fantastic moderator. Y'all are fantastic. And again, we would not be able to do the work that we do with the type of integrity that we do without your support. Every dollar, every cent, every like, every comment, and every share goes a long way, knowing that we never put our content behind a paywall. But if you have the ability, if you're watching on Waj's amazing Left Hook Substack, do consider becoming a paid subscriber to him. If you are watching right now on my Substack, The Damn Digest, and you have a few bucks, only if you're able, think about becoming a paid subscriber. But no, you will never miss anything if you do not have the money, because we believe that that is where democracy and critical thinking go to die. We will be back on Wednesday. Unless Wash is on the fucking Acela or on a plane. We will be back on Wednesday, 3 p.m. Eastern on Substack for our midweek democracy-ish check-in. Otherwise, we will see you guys back here on Friday on the Danielle Moody channel at 12 p.m. Eastern. Waj, what else do you have coming up today?
I was supposed to have Mike Madrid on and at 1:10. I think we're gonna have him on, and I think Mike's great because Mike's a former Republican who left, and he knows all the data. He's fantastic on the data. And speaking about the Trump lame duck presidency, he's been all over it over the weekend, talking about how key parts of MAGA and key parts of the 2024 electorate that helped him get in power are defecting and why. And then at 2 p.m., I have Lev Parnas, who texted me and says who wants to share what he's been hearing within the MAGA world and how Trump is flipping out.
Ooh, I'm totally tuning into that. And folks, I will be back on this channel at 5 p.m. Eastern for the Danielle Moody Show, where I'm going to dig into SoftBank and the AI bubble that's getting ready to burst, and
Oh,
Peter
yeah.
Thiel and how he's involved in that. All right, folks, we appreciate you. Stay good, stay healthy, and remember, do not be a fascist. Come find us where we are, because we're everywhere.